At the Congress of Vienna in 1815, the European powers got together after the defeat of Napoleon to redraw the balance of power throughout the continent. The two dominant German-speaking powers, Austria and Prussia, had both gained this land from the Congress, but also lost a bit themselves. They were both part of the weirdly complicated Holy Roman Empire, which in short were hundreds of nations and city-states in what is modern-day Germany. But after Napoleon had defeated the Austrians in 1806, he decided to disband the Holy Roman Empire with the Confederation of the Rhine, which had taken its place. But it didn't last that many years, and by 1816 it was yet again disbanded, but wasn't replaced with the Holy Roman Empire again, but this time with the German Confederation. This confederation was led by a president who was also the Emperor of Austria, so it really wasn't that different from the Holy Roman Empire. In 1819 the Prussians formed the Zollverein, which was a trading union between German-speaking states inside of the Confederation. But it wasn't just a trading union, it was also a political movement against Austria by banning them completely from the union, and by 1848 the Zollverein had spread to all of southern Germany, but they still weren't united yet. By 1848 Europe was in a bit of a meltdown. There was a nationalistic feeling over the entire continent, and everyone wanted to liberalize in whichever country they found themselves in. In Austria the protest died quickly, but in Prussia it was a little different. The King of Prussia had agreed to the terms that a liberal parliament were to advise him. Austria was getting weaker and weaker throughout the years, and with the Hungarians rebelling, they were forced to align the Austrian crown with the Hungarian crown as well. On the other hand, Prussia was getting stronger, with a large economy fueled by their growing industries, lots of natural resources, and had one of the finest army on the entire continent. In 1861 the King of Prussia died, and his son, Wilhelm I, succeeded the throne, and he appointed a man called Otto von Bismarck as Minister-President of Prussia. The first thing Otto got on with was the modernization of the Prussian army and increasing the size of the Prussian army in case they got themselves in a war. In 1864 the Kingdom of Denmark had declared that both Schleswig and Holstein were to be controlled directly from Copenhagen and not as an autonomous region, as they had always been. But the problem was that most of Holstein was inside of the German Confederation, which didn't sit well with the two German powers, and so they invaded. The war didn't go well for the Danish, as they lacked international support and was filled with incompetent politicians and generals, and so the Prussians took Holstein and the Austrians took Schleswig. In 1866, the Prussians occupied Austrian-controlled Schleswig after tensions began to sour between the two nations, and not long after a war broke out between them. The newly formed Italian kingdom was on the side of the Prussians, and were promised Veneto if they helped take down the Prussians, and so they did. After only 2 months, the Austrians surrendered, and northern Germany became one single unified state, called the North German Confederation. France was getting more and more tense as they saw the Prussians growing stronger and stronger, and in 1817, when the French had been insulted by Otto von Bismarck, they were forced to declare war on the Prussians, because they really just couldn't ignore the insult. The war that broke out was called the Franco-Prussian War, and would only last a year after the Prussians captured the French Emperor after the Battle of Sedan, and in 1871 Wilhelm I was hailed the first Emperor of Germany.